Welcome to Faith Encouraged. I'm Father Barnabas Powell, and the Orthodox Christian faith is meant to make you by grace what Christ is by nature. Being Orthodox on purpose takes focus and attentiveness, and we pray these homilies will help you do just that. Here's today's homily. I'm so grateful to God that we are all here today to celebrate and to glorify God in His goodness. Of course, today is Mother's Day, so that is extra special. And it is also very special because Mother's Day falls on the Sunday of the ointment-bearing women, the myrrh-bearing women. It's not a mistake that when that kind of stuff happens, because it's absolutely gloriously wonderful. I suppose that if we were to measure the number of songs that were written in praise of something, we would have to put first place with romantic love. My eyes adored you, though I never laid a hand. Never mind, I'm not going to do that. Romantic love has got to take top spot, because we're always singing about romantic love this and romantic love that. But number two has to be Mom. Songs about Mom, poems about Mom, stories about Mom, mothers, and how wonderful they are. And to be sure, that's not a mistake, folks. It's not a mistake. There's something about the bond between a mother and a child that transcends being able to explain. It's absolutely glorious, to be honest with you. I'm watching as my own precious mother begins her final journey. She's moving closer and closer to that time when she's going to go be with the Lord. I'm dealing with that. It's what's going on. Everybody goes through it. If you live long enough, you're going to go through that. That's just the way it is. So as I'm going through that, of course, I went to see her this past week and spent some time with her, and it was great fun to spend time with her. And she loves to tell stories. Her long-term memory is fantastic. Short-term memory, not so much. But her long-term memory is fantastic, and she's telling me stories about when I was a little boy and how I got the only spanking she remember ever giving me for painting the basement. I wasn't supposed to paint the basement. That was the problem. But getting into the paint and carrying on, and so she tells that story, and she just relishes that, and I love it too. But as I'm watching her, I'm thinking to myself, this lady in my life is probably responsible. Let's say her and Jesus are probably responsible. If there's anything good in my life, any good part of my character, any talent, any positive thing that you see, chalk it up. Probably my mother was the greatest influence on that part of me. Dignity and honor and following through and sticking with it. And her famous saying was, early is on time is late, late is unacceptable. That was the rule in our house. Early is on time is late, late is unacceptable. And so she built that into me, and sticking to it and following through on what you promised to say. And all of these wonderful traits that I've learned from my mother remind me just how powerful a bond is between a mother and a child. And I'm convinced, brothers and sisters, that the reason why our current culture is in such turmoil and such upset is because it has always been the plan of the evil one to disrupt the relationship between mother and child. It's always been the plan of the evil one to do that. It's always been the plan of the evil one to disrupt family, to undo family. Because the reality is, in any healthy, normal society, the strength of the family is the bedrock of the culture. The strength of mother and father and children, and the extended family, the extended tribe, is absolutely essential for the culture to be healthy. So therefore, the atomization of culture, the atomization of society, the I'm living my truth moment, I want to live the way I want to be fully actualized in my understanding of myself. Do you see the sickness there? Do you see the loneliness there? Do you see the crushing, sick narcissism of reducing the whole world to my own cranium, to what I think about myself? The danger there, folks, isn't that you shouldn't self-actualize. Please self-actualize. I love it when you self-actualize. It isn't that you shouldn't explore your talents. It isn't that you shouldn't have a healthy self-esteem. That is all very good, folks. But when it becomes narcissistic, when it becomes caustic, when it becomes divisive, when it starts breaking down the family. There's a great article. I say great. Shall I change that to important? That's a better word. There's an important article that's out in the New York Times today about what are the forces that forced women into the workplace. Do you remember? Well, I don't remember, but my grandparents remember a time when one income was enough for a family. That was real. One income was enough for a family. But the forces after World War II that began to push ladies into the workforce, and then all of a sudden we had all of these demands. And folks, there's nothing wrong with insisting on dignity and honor. That's a good thing. That's not bad. That's wonderful. But there's always the slippery slope, the dangerous falling off the narrow path of falling into a narcissistic illness that has only room for yourself in your cranium, only room for yourself in your soul. And so the demanding of rights began to go farther and farther and farther. And now look at our society. Do you know that there is an epidemic of suicide among young people in this country? Suicidal ideations has now reached pandemic proportions, greater than all of the physical illnesses of the COVID-19 pandemic itself. The mental health of our young people has grown to such a crisis point. Moms and dads, your teenagers are suffering in this culture. They're suffering. They're suffering confusion. They're suffering self-doubt. They're suffering a loathing of themselves and an unsure of themselves. And what's happened? The parents above them are just as unsure and just as gripped by chaos and just as gripped by confusion. And that filters throughout the entire culture to the point where the society begins to degenerate and deteriorate. It isn't a mistake, folks, that Mother's Day falls on the Sunday of the Myrrh-bearers. It is the health of the family, mental health, physical health, spiritual health of the family that is the bedrock of a culture and a society. And when that is disrupted by spiritual illness and an unwillingness to name spiritual illness as illness, you begin suffering a horrible result across the culture. Moms and dads, just as confused as their teenagers. But brothers and sisters, there's an answer. On the Sunday of the Myrrh-bearers, we see these ladies, and brothers and sisters, don't get me wrong, in the days that these ladies lived, unfortunately, in too many places in the Roman Empire, it was only the Christian faith that rescued the status of women from being little more than property. It is only the Christian faith and the declaration of Jesus Christ as Lord that changed the status of children and women in Roman society. Do you know the normal way that Roman couples got rid of unwanted children? They not only induced abortions, but they also practiced exposure. If the child wasn't good enough, they exposed it. The Christians went and gathered those children and raised them as their own. The Christians went and rescued those children and changed the culture of the Roman Empire to lift the status of women and lift the status of children to be more than just mere property for the men. And the men were tamed from their addictions to passions and lusts by the Christian understanding of marriage. Their emotions and their passions were tamed by the wisdom of the Christian faith. And society began to become stable, and the Christian faith began to spread all over the entire known world and changed humanity forever. It's not a mistake that Mother's Day falls on the Sunday of the Myrrh-bearing Women. These women were the first to see, not the guys. The guys, when the ladies came back and told them, hey, Jesus is risen from the dead, you know what they said? Oh, that's an idle tale. You girls. Oh, you girls. Oh, tisk, tisk, tisk. Condescending, stupid men. Don't quote me. But the reality is, folks, the first witnesses of the universe transforming message that Jesus Christ has conquered mortality were ladies. They were mothers. No doubt, brothers and sisters, the joy of the heart of the Theotokos soared as she remembered watching her only son crucified on a cruel cross and crying out to him, Son, what is happening? The world rejoices at their salvation, but my heart is broken at seeing you suffering. And then on the day of the resurrection, the heart of the Theotokos soars in glory as her son takes his life up again and destroys mortality for the entire human race. The first witnesses of that glorious truth were ladies. And so on this glorious Mother's Day, ladies, stop taking second place to a society that has degenerated you to being equal with men. Stop it. Stop stepping down to that lower place where you're merely equal with men. What a disgusting thought. Trust me, I know. I've been a man my whole life. Stop. Step up to the dignity of who you were created to be, Mom. I saw a wonderful meme the other day that said, if a baby is your enemy, you're probably on the wrong side of history. Don't allow the world to tell you that to be self-actualized, you have to deny your creation. Don't allow the world to tell you that to truly be free, you have to demand to merely being equal with men. Don't believe that, ladies. You're better than that. You were created, you were the last creation, folks. Did you know that, ladies? You were the last thing that God made. He saved the best for last. You were the last thing God made in the universe. God made woman after He had made everything else. And then do you know what He said? This is very good. Ladies, happy Mother's Day. God bless our moms. Thank you, Mom, for being the bedrock in a home. Thank you, Mom, for doing the hard work. Thank you, Mom, for being the example of wisdom and peace and dignity and joy. Thank you, Mom. And may God grant you peace, Mom. And God grant all of us the joy of peace and sober and a healed culture. Let's be a part of that, shall we? Amen.
Thank you so much for watching. I pray this was a blessing to you. If it is a blessing to you, please don't forget to like and subscribe and share these videos. It really does help us a great deal. Speaking of helping us, if you'd like to support this media outreach, go to our Patreon site at Faith Encouraged on patreon.com. You can also visit us at our website at faithencouraged.org and write me at frbarnabas@faithencouraged.org. I look forward to seeing you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. God bless you.